talking about misgendering, I kid you not, misgendering of the Nashville school shooter. 3 children, 6 adults shot dead by Audrey Hale. And the media has got itself into tears about misgendering the shooter. Let's talk to Helen Joyce about this. She's author of Trans, When Ideology Meets Reality. She's also director of advocacy at Sex Matters. Good morning to you.
Hi, Julia.
Thank you so much for joining us. I have to say, I can't imagine just how frustrating this could be. Imagine being the families of those who lost their loved ones in this horrific school shooting, one on average every week in America. The focus not even on getting back rid of guns, the focus being on the trans shooter. Now, there's a lot of confusion, and I was confused. I apparently misgendered the shooter as well yesterday. Not going to apologise for it, though, like the New York Times did and the CNN did. Basically, we were told that there was a shooter at the school, so let's face it, we all assumed it was a man, because 99.9% of the time it is a man. Then we were told it was a woman, so we referred to her as a woman. Then we discovered it was a woman who identified as trans. Aha, people like me said. So it's actually a biological man, and therefore we'll say he and him. No, it's a woman called Audrey Hale, born Audrey Hale, born a woman, but identifies as trans and therefore prefers the pronouns he and his. And we actually had the New York Times, CNN, and USA Today pointing out they had misgendered the shooter, worrying about the feelings of a psychopath who has killed 3 children and 3 adults, rather than being concerned about the actual crime committed by that person. We are in crazy territory now, aren't we?
I mean, the primary duty of journalists is to make sure that their readers can understand them. The next bit after that is informing them, but, you know, you have to use language that people understand. So why they can't say things like a woman who identifies as a man, or even somebody born female. I mean, if you're born female, you retain your female status through life. You can't change sex. You're a woman. But you know what? If you want to give some bones to some community or other, fine. But just be clear to your readers. Make sure they understand what you're saying. I was looking at some of the coverage, and The Guardian wrote an entire article about how rare trans shooters are, when the point is it's rare that there are female shooters.
Yes.
And they mentioned a trans-identified shooter and said, but this person was non-binary. And I had to go off into a different window to find out, are we talking about a non-binary man or a non-binary woman? Because this is the relevant question.
And lots of people say, well, what does it matter? Well, I mean, but it does. The identity of a shooter does matter, but it was the police that raised it. I couldn't care less
absolutely.
what pronouns someone prefers.
Yes, and I mean, anyway, why would you say that to journalists? Like, we're writing about or we're talking about things so that people are informed. Like, if you're not going to do it in a way that informs people, don't bother.
Don't bother, indeed. I mean, because BBC Yorkshire, I mean, this was another case, and thankfully not as serious. Zara Jade, a tweet from BBC Yorkshire, BBC Look North, tweeted, Zara Jade, Halifax woman jailed after stabbing and tying up victim. Now, the picture of Zara Jade will tell you straight away, Zara Jade is not a woman. Now, the copy later on refers to Halifax, a trans woman from Halifax. Well, no, Halifax woman, you know, it's quite clearly a biological male who has, like we often hear, has somehow decided to self-identify as trans after the point when they're arrested. These are lies. At some point in a century to come, they'll say, this is really strange that so many women suddenly started committing violent crimes sometime around 2020.
We'll all know by then what happened, because it'll just become a case study in madness of crowds and also in how journalism rolled over without a single attempt to stand up for its core values, namely telling the truth, being clear, informing your readers. I've got used to seeing these sorts of headlines, woman arrested for a stash of tens of thousands of pictures of child abuse, or woman arrested after punching someone or whatever. And I know, oh yeah, that's that special sort of woman who's actually a man. And I look down and sure as anything, it is, because there are big differences in men and women in crime, and we obscure them when we use this stupid language, and we make it harder to keep people safe, to study what needs to be done to stop shootings, to stop assaults and so on. And also, by the way, this mustn't be very nice for trans people, having everyone very suspicious about them.
Exactly. This is what we always said. This would be trans people exploiting, sexual deviants and violent offenders exploiting trans identity to do this. Exactly. Helen Joyce, thank you very much indeed.